how much longer will this united front of the players' union stay united as bills pile up, as cars get repossessed, as they begin to get kicked out of their apartment complexes? How much longer until the 10th, 11th woman on the roster, the ones who make...
That's the question keeping WNBA executives up at night. On the surface, the players' union is showing a united front, with 97% voting to authorize a strike. But behind closed doors, there's a ticking time bomb. Nearly 2/3 of the league's players aren't an unrivaled, meaning they aren't collecting those $220,000 paychecks for 8 weeks of work. While the stars are financially secure, many others are sitting at home watching their bank accounts drain.
Article by the Sports Business Journal. Talks between the WNBA and Players Association have stalled, and the union's, quote, upper hand at the bargaining table is slipping as soon as the players will be faced with the question of how long they can hold out, according to Adam Minter of Bloomberg News. It is a necessary but dispiriting thought, considering that the leverage was well.
Sports Business Journal just published an article that should seriously worry the Players Association. It lays out what's happening behind the scenes, and it isn't pretty. The union's leverage is slipping fast. What most people don't realize is that this negotiation window was created by a perfect storm. Caitlin Clark's arrival brought record ratings, sold-out arenas, and a massive media deal, giving players real leverage for the first time in league history. But that leverage has an expiration date, and right now, we're watching clock run down in real time.
We mean Caitlin Clark showed up and they suddenly had some leverage in their pocket. Publicly, the Players Association is presenting a united front, but the outward appearance masks a complex private reality. Many players can't afford to wait indefinitely. Unrivaled provides a lens for understanding the divide. This season, 54 top WNBA hoopers, about a third of the WNBA's active rosters in 2025, are participating in Unrivaled. For them, Unrivaled and its big paychecks of roughly $220,000 for an 8-week season are a nice cushion.
Let's talk about the math. In 2025, 54 of the WNBA's top players, about a third of active rosters, are playing Unrivaled, earning roughly $220,000 for just 8 weeks of work. That kind of money provides a real cushion when negotiations start dragging on. But what about the other 100 players? The ones making an $80,000 base salary, the role players, the bench warmers, the 11th and 12th women on the roster. They don't have endorsement deals. They aren't getting unrivaled contracts, and they're the first to feel the financial pressure when things stall.
Going to dry up on their savings, aka they're going to need money, aka they got bills. A WNBA lockout or strike also poses economical risks for the WNBA. The league is in a much stronger financial position than its players to withstand a protracted delay or cancellation. Well, no shit. Pardon my language. Duh. Now, Natasha Cloud actually spoke about this before, and we've talked about this, that the players in Unrivaled, they don't really care about the other 100.
And this is where things get really interesting. Natasha Cloud has talked about this dynamic before. The players in Unrivaled, and let's be honest, aren't really affected by what happens to the other 100 players in the league. If there's a lockout, they'll be fine. They can extend the Unrivaled season, make more money, and keep playing basketball without missing a beat. Everything stays comfortable for them. Meanwhile, the role players are living a completely different reality, with bills piling up, car payments coming due, and rent checks starting to bounce. Eventually, that supposed 97% unity begins to crack.
Paid all the money that they feel that they missed during the NIL era. That's what a lot of this is, along with ego. A lot of this is players that missed the NIL era, sees Caitlin Clark. They don't want to admit it, but she's the dollar signs here. And they say, well, this is our only chance, really. This is our only chance that we're going to be able to cash in.
A lot of this ultimately comes down to ego and missed opportunity. Many veteran players completely missed the NIL era, watching college athletes make millions while they were grinding overseas for $70,000 a year. Then Caitlin Clark arrives, and suddenly real money starts flowing into the league. For many of these players, this feels like their one shot, maybe their only shot, to finally cash in. So they're swinging for the fences, demanding 30% of gross revenue and a $10.5 million salary cap. The problem is, they may be overplaying their hand.
WNBA could be weeks away from delaying season. Despite releasing the schedule earlier this week, the WNBA likely needs to agree to
The league's latest proposal actually isn't terrible. It includes a maximum salary of $1 million, rising to more than $1.3 million with revenue sharing, and offers players roughly 70% of net revenue over the life of the deal. The salary cap would start at $5 million in year one and grow alongside league revenue, a massive jump from current numbers. But the union wants more. They're pushing for a deal based on gross revenue instead of net, a fundamental shift that could end up costing the league hundreds of millions of dollars.
And send us something better. But remember, Breanna Stewart yesterday said, "Oh, they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel." How can you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you liar? Whatever. In that proposal, the union is seeking a 30% share of the league's gross revenue and a salary cap of $10.5 million. The league's latest proposal includes a max base salary of $1 million, which would increase to more than $1.3 million with revenue share. The league's proposing roughly 70% of its net revenue over the span of the deal. The salary cap would be at $5 million in year one and would grow in tandem with the...
Now, let's talk about what's actually at stake. According to Annie Costable's reporting, the WNBA could be just weeks away from delaying the season, even though the league released its schedule this week. 44 games starting May 8th. The reality behind closed doors looks very different. As of January 23rd, the Players' Union was still waiting on a response from the league to a proposal it sent nearly a month earlier, before Christmas. The holidays passed, New Year's came and went, and now, in late January, there's still been nothing but radio silence from the league.
Free agency would be early March, and that's if the ink dries on a new CBA by early February, giving the WNBA the rest of the month to plan and conduct an expansion draft. Multiple league sources believe the best case scenario would be early March, given the ink dries by early February. We are about 2 weeks away from early February. February's in 7 days, 8 days. 2 weeks, we're sitting what, February 5th, February 6th? They need to get a deal soon before we start pushing the schedule back.
And this is where Breanna Stewart's comments start to look questionable. She said yesterday, they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But how can there be light at the end of the tunnel when the league hasn't even responded to the union's proposal in over a month? That's not progress. That's a stalemate. Meanwhile, general managers are still operating in the dark on key rules for the expansion draft. Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire need clarity to build their rosters, but they can't plan anything without a CBA in place. Complicating things further, the core designation, similar to the NBA's franchise tag, is part of the negotiations and could dramatically affect which players are even available in the expansion draft.
In the middle of free agency, front offices will also be preparing for the 2026 WNBA draft, currently held April 13th. The league has never lost games to a work stoppage in its 29-year history. The next 2 weeks will be an indicator of whether its 30th season will be the first time it does. If the deal doesn't get done soon, might not be a lockout, it might not be a strike, but at the bare minimum, they're going to need to delay the season or start chopping some games off. Instead of a 44 game, it'll be a 38 game. They missed the first 6 games because they push it back 2 weeks. They mixed the first 10 games because they push it back a month.
Multiple league sources believe the best case scenario for free agency would be early March. And that's only if a new CBA is finalized by early February. With February just 7 days away, that leaves maybe 2 weeks to reach a deal, finalize the language, and get everything signed. After that, the rest of February would be needed to plan and conduct an expansion draft. In a normal year, free agency begins in early January, and major signings are wrapped up by early February, so the league is already far behind schedule, with the draft set for April 13th and training camp scheduled to open April 19th. Everything is starting to back up.
How much longer will that 97% of players that agreed with the strike dwindles to 90%, dwindles to 80%, dwindles to 65%? Might not be able to vote again. I doubt they can vote on that again. But the rumblings and the talk behind the scene, it'll get back to them. And they'll say, damn, we're not really united anymore. These girls fractured and they don't agree with it anymore. And they're kind of starving and they need to pay for this and she needs to pay for that. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.
So here's what's really happening. If a deal doesn't come together soon, the league may not face a full lockout or strike, but at a minimum it could be forced to delay the season or cut games from 44 to 38 or even 34, depending on how far things slide. In its 29-year history, the WNBA has never lost games to a work stoppage, but the next 2 weeks will determine whether the 30th season becomes the first. And that brings everything back to one central question. How long does that 97% unity actually last? As financial pressure builds, that solidarity could quietly erode, especially among role players being asked to sacrifice their livelihoods so stars can negotiate maximum salaries they'll never see. While a new CBA could raise base salaries from $80,000 to $250,000, life-changing money for the end of the bench. That only matters if there's a season to play. The league's offer, while not perfect, is strong. A $1 million max salary, roughly 7% of net revenue, and a salary cap that grows with league success. The union's push for 30% of gross revenue, however, ignores operating costs and comes off as an aggressive demand for money before the league even pays its bills, especially while the WNBA is still subsidized by the NBA. As delays drag on, momentum from Caitlin Clark's breakout risks evaporating. Fans lose interest, sponsors hesitate, and the league, backed by deeper pockets, can afford to wait longer than the players can. Eventually, financial reality hits home for the 10th, 11th, and 12th players on a roster, and that's when unity starts to crack. Not because the league suddenly offers more, but because the players simply can't afford to keep fighting. The real question isn't whether players deserve more. They do. But whether holding out for a perfect deal risks losing a good one and turning a moment of historic momentum into a season where everyone loses.